attention, Aquarius I am. We in the Aquarius age for the next 2,000 years, you dig?
Swing low, time to move on. Light years in time, ahead of our time.
I want to free your mind by helping you understand the zodiac signs. That's right, you're live with Aquaman in the zodiac zone where the cosmos is your home. I'm your very own Anpu, the real urban guru, coming through on the mothership. So let's open up your cosmic memory bank and swing down to earth where the shit stain. Hey, what up everybody? Welcome back to Hip Hop Astrology TV. I'm your host Anpu, the real urban guru, fresh off that mothership. And today is another very important topic. If you're new to the channel, first let me say thank you. Hear me out. I got to start saying that in the beginning. Hear me out, because I keep assuming everybody that keep coming back, the dedicated few is, they know already. But this is a channel primarily on this playlist, Celebrity News and Death, where my job is to show you the correspondence of planetary alignments and how that corresponds to, or what we'd say coincide to, human events and affairs. So we always hear the popular saying, I guess the stars were aligned. I guess the stars were aligned. And that is very true. And my job is to simply show you that great ancient cosmic truth. Okay. So shout out to Tracy Morgan, for many reasons. But when Tracy did one of his first interviews with the Breakfast Club after his near-death experience, the accident that he was in, it touched me deeply. And it was through that video, honestly, that I saw for the first time, it really just struck a chord with me, that humanity is sick. Not because of Tracy, because people had the audacity to click the thumbs down button like they disliked the video where Tracy was in a coma. And being in a coma, obviously, you're not consciously aware of bodily functions, but yet your conscious itself, which makes up life, he was aware. He was in a state where he could hear, be with his father, Richard Pryor, and other greats who have passed on in that realm. And I just found that to be phenomenal. And to click thumbs down on that, I was like, whoa, humanity is lost. They sick. I will also have to say salute to Tracy Morgan's wife for knowing not to pull the plug on Tracy while in a coma for 2 weeks. Okay. I mean, like, shit, like they, not that I know of, they don't have no agreed upon conversation or agreement that says, hey, if I'm in a coma, let me stay for a month. And then after a month, if I don't do nothing, I don't know about that. But that instinct, that connection, that's special. Shout out to her. Shout out to the James McNair family. Because McNair is he's the one who lost his life in the accident. Okay. And shout out to everybody who was, involved in that and are, doing okay. All right. So the premise today is I want to start off with something known in science. You guys, you listen. Ciroc Studio, shout out to Ciroc Studio. Shout out to DJ Khaled, one of my mentors, personally put me up on the Black Raspberry Ciroc. Get you something to drink. If you smoke it. Do what you do. Let's take our time today, because I am telling you, Tracy Morgan's accident is a spiritual awakening, and it is a spiritual event, because truly all interactions, the good and the bad, are for our greater good and for us to extract a lesson. I am just going to show you how you can forecast these things in the future and hopefully circumvent those things. Okay. And so inside of this thing that science called the double slit experiment is when they studied a particle called a photon and said, hey, when we shoot a photon through this little slit, it behaves a certain way. But then when we put two slits and shoot that photon through it, it behaves a different way. So let's put a measuring device, a camera, and watch through the slit and see what's going on. In the moment that they decide to watch it, it switched up its program. It switched up what it was doing. And it was like, wait a minute. This thing, photon light, energy, intelligence, seems to know as if we're watching it. That's the base of the story. So elementary particles, subatomic particles are said to act differently according to someone watching them. You do the research yourself. Okay? I'm just laying the premise here. This is a known phenomenon, the double slit experiment, also known as wave function collapse. So now it's as if the power of measuring, the power of observation, yes, has some type of power, has some type of effect. Now, I gotta say it because you know it as in the evil eye, right? You don't like people looking at you. We're gonna get into that. You know it as the eye of Ra in Egypt, the eye of Horus in Egypt, the eye of Wajet in Egypt. The evil eye is more in Islam and Hebrew cultures. And in your regular experience, which is the best teacher, you know it as, what are you looking at, nigga? You looking at me. And looks have energy. You can tell by the expression on a person's face of what the look is. Is it admiration? Is it like? Or is it dislike? Or is it hate? Looks have energy. And depending on someone looking at you, it could be deemed to be disrespectful. Why? Because you can feel it. And it's nothing more than a look. That's a fact. So again, the premise is, can the observer, you and I, the television observer, can we observe something, a movie, a TV show, an idea of someone, and although fictional, the movie and everything, that which we look at can become a reality. Oh yeah. You want to talk about vision boards? You believe in vision boards. Humanity is just now caught up to the point of believing in vision boards. So it must be real. Okay. So movies like Naked Gun, where I did this mad years ago with O.J. Simpson in it. And the last one particularly, these was interesting. The last one in particularly, Leslie Nielsen is having the baby. The baby is born. The baby is black. OJ takes off his mask, look, as if he was sleeping with the girl, run down the hallway. They wheel the lady out and the baby is white. And then they're like, Frank, it's a baby boy. And he's like, I know, but he's chasing OJ and the credits go up and that's how the movie ends. Well, don't you know, in a couple months later, 3 months later, on the 13th was when Nicole ended up dead. Okay, her and Ron end up dead, and then the whole OJ thing starts to unravel. This was called Naked Gun 33rd and 1/3. He was in 3 of those movies, 1, 2, and 3. 3 months later, on the 1/3 day, the 13th, that happens. And then also with OJ Simpson, you can Google this story. Also with OJ Simpson, you saw that, wait a minute, OJ Simpson is back in court on the exact same day he was 13 years ago. And they made a big phenomenon out of it. Like, wow, exactly 13 years ago. Because millions of people saw him You got to hear this. Saw him in a movie running from the police because he slept with a white woman. The joke was, the parody was, he slept with a white woman. But that wasn't the truth in the movie, but that's how it ended. And the police was now on his ass. That became a reality. So when you have movies like The Knowing, that my brother, the Prime Minister, likes to show, where the oil rig blows up in the Gulf of Mexico, and then shortly thereafter, you have the BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. When you have the movie like Batman, and the lights in the stadium goes out, and then that year, Beyonce goes to the Super Bowl in New Orleans and rock the show, and the lights of the stadium go out. Your first mind says, oh, snap, this is eerie, this is weird. Somebody's creating this phenomenon like it's a conspiracy. That's your elementary mind picking up on what we would call coincidences. But understand, a coincidence in mathematics means two things coincide. It's like an eclipse. One is blocking over the, one is blocking out the other. So two things coincide. Okay. So then you have a book, literally a book that deals with the wreck of the wreck of the Titan. Google this, the wreck of the Titan. And in the book, he explains this big cruise liner named the Titan that hits an iceberg and people die. And 14 years later, which hopefully I can get into why that, which I'll just tell you off top so you can kind of do the math yourself. If it takes Saturn on average 28 to 30 years to go one full circle, imagine 12 o'clock, Saturn's at 12 o'clock, and it takes on average 28 years to 30 years to go one full circle, then that means halfway around the circle, 6 o'clock, when it's opposite itself, that's 14 years on average. So 14 years later, the Titanic sunk. Here it is. You had a book, people reading, observing the Titan. And then in reality, the Titanic sinks. This is a known phenomenon. We have to get up on this. Looking ass nigga. That's Nicki Minaj. Looking at something creates reality. Okay. So let's get into The Simpsons. Very, 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 very. The Simpsons is known for, oh, they predict Donald Trump. Oh, they predict every single thing that you see. The Super Bowl winners, everything has been on The Simpsons. Now you got to ask yourself a question here. Like, what is really going on? There's no difference, me and my brother always talk about, than the bookies in Las Vegas. Do you know the science inside of that it takes to get those spreads just about right every single time for them making an observation and then the game plays out that way? Very rarely do you beat Vegas in their odds. Right? They're usually on point. Observation. So with this observation, the Eye of Hamza, I have one here above me. Yes, the Eye of Hamza, known in the Hebrew culture, repels the evil eye, you looking at me with jealousy, you looking at me with hate. Yes. In fact, when you go to Wiki yourself and you study up on the evil eye, or I'm sorry, the Hamza, yes, the Hamza, when you go to Wiki and you study up on the Hamza, I want you to scroll down, and let me type it in, and you will see that in the Islamic culture, the 5th day of the week, Thursday, is considered a good day for magic rites and pilgrimage to the tombs of revered saints to counteract the effects of the evil eye. This is right here on Wiki. See, the Eastern cultures know what's up. The West is a little slow. All right. So look into the seal of Algeria, the country Algeria. In their logo, their seal, you're going to see the Hamza, the hand. Okay. Because they understand. Now here, this is right here on Wiki. It says that Thursday they go and make a pilgrimage to the tombs of the holy people so they can repel the negative energy that people may have been looking at them all week with. So Thursday, which is interesting, which is Jupiter. See, we practice this anyway. Sunday, the day of the sun. Monday, moon day. Thursday, Jupiter. Saturday, the day of Saturn. And the rest of the days of the week corresponds to a planetary body. You already participating in this phenomenon anyway. Okay? And so the premise here is just to show you that, hold on, days of the week are very important because each day carries a frequency. Friday today, it feel good. Friday night, just got paid. Get it right, right? So you get your hair done, your nails done. Don't let it be warm outside. It's popping on a Friday. The days have different frequencies. Okay? Also, in hip hop, you saw Kendrick Lamar, I want to say his first album cover, what happened? He didn't let you see the eyes of the people on the cover because that young man is very intelligent. He knows something because we always hear the famous saying, the eyes are the window to the soul. Yes? So I laid the premise on looking at things, why cultures have certain emblems that say, A, repel the evil eye. You know it to be true, what you looking at, to lay the base for this. When Tracy Morgan was on the show Punk'd, which showed Tracy Morgan's car being towed and him being upset and mad, could him or us watching that and laughing at him, because it's funny, it's a joke, that mean in the time of his anger and frustration, the viewer, the observer, is interjecting a positive emotion of laughter. And if it got 1 million views or more than that, there's a lot of people that's seeing this quote unquote alternative reality because it wasn't real. His car wasn't being towed, although it was very real to Tracy because he didn't know it was a joke. So could Punk and us watching that had created the future scenario of Tracy Morgan being in an accident?
Man, they're sweet. They're all shined up. Look at this. All I'm saying is they're nice rims. I know you got money, man. You help me out.
I got money? Get my car down, man.
D, you want me to call the boy? Yeah. Call him now!
It's very interesting. Now, I'm going to say this before we really get into it. Please note that Tracy Morgan was wearing a Bulls jersey. Hopefully I remember the slide and I can come back to that. He's wearing a Bulls jersey and his friend is wearing a Magic jersey. But see, I'm not talking about magic, hocus pocus. I'm talking about understanding the power of observation and understanding, because the Magic logo got a star. Understanding the power, the knowledge, the understanding, the wisdom of the heavenly bodies. Okay? So now let's really get into it. 11/10/1968 is the birthday of Tracy Morgan. Please note, although a Scorpio, the sun appears to be at the fulcrum, the middle of the Libra scales. The reason we're focusing on the sun is look at the arrows. This is life force energy. This is spirit. This is identity. This is self-expression. Wherever the sun is located when you're born tells us where your spirit is at. Okay? Just got to keep it real with you. So on 11/9/2003, which is a Sunday, days are important, remember, because you got the Sabbath, it's Friday night. Juma is Friday for the Muslims who make prayer. Sunday in the United States, you go to church. Days carry frequencies. Excuse me. So 11/9/2003 is the day that Punk aired. Notice Tracy is born 11/10. So on the eve of his birthday is when Punk came out. Note the position of the sun is in the exact same place because it's only 1 day difference. So the sun pretty much is in the exact same spot. Okay. This was a Sunday, day of the sun. Very important. Very important. Okay. Now, here's what's called an ephemeris, which is to show you how to measure the planetary bodies in any point in time and space that you want to reference to. So this is November 1968. As you can see on the far left where the arrows is November the 9th. November the 9th, the sun, first column is 16 degrees Scorpio. November the 10th, Tracy's birthday, the sun is 17 degrees Scorpio. Please note 16, 17 degrees. Very important in this study. Okay. 16, 17 degrees Scorpio. All right. So I know that year, 2003, Saturday, the eve, watch this, Saturday, the eve of Punk being aired, there was a full moon lunar eclipse that took place at 16 degrees Taurus. Astronomical facts. Okay. Hey, at this time, I got to make a quick voiceover. Remember, Tracy was wearing a Bulls jersey on the day of Punk, and the eve before that, the day before, full moon in Taurus, the bull. It is as if he was subconsciously, because the moon rules the subconscious, emotions and things of that nature. Subconsciously, he was carrying out a cosmic imprint of the weekend. So 16 degrees Taurus. Okay. Now, note the position of the moon, because the moon is at the foot of Aries or right at the bottom of the bull. Okay. So when Punk aired, again, here go the ephemeris, just showing you November the 8th. The red arrow is pointing to the column of the moon, and the moon was 3 degrees Taurus. Later on that day, it was 16 degrees Taurus. Okay. For us in the United States. All right. So Scorpio, because what I tell you, 16 degrees Taurus, pay attention to 16 degrees Scorpio, 17 degrees Scorpio, because Scorpio and Taurus are direct opposite one another. Can you say Drake, who's a Scorpio, had beef with Pusha T, who's a Taurus? How about James Prince? Shout out to the OG, got into it and was supporting Drake, of course. But James Prince is what? A Scorpio like Drake, called Pusha T a pig, right? That's opposition, Taurus. How about Drake and Meek Mill? Meek Mill is a Taurus. Coincidence? Yes, it is. Two things are coinciding. But I tell you that even your friction points, the one that's opposite you is really supposed to be the balance, the reflection, the mirror. The one to the side of you is the one that's irking you and coming at you sideways, but all of you have something in common. You come at the same time of a season. Either you're in the beginning of a season, like Capricorn, Aries, Libra, Cancer, they start a particular season. Then the green, they're in the middle of a season. And then the yellow, they come at the end of a season. Okay? So you really have something in common. All right? So again, rest in peace, James McNair. So let's pull him into this. Now it's very interesting. Watch spirit. Watch spirit. I'll say it again. Watch spirit. The report said James McNair died at 62 years old. How about his wiki page has 2 birthdays, 10/1/52 and 5/9/52. But if he was born on 10/1/52, he couldn't have been 62 years old at the time of death. So I'm going to go with 5/9. Very interesting, because even there was a Twitter, 1 year on Twitter, Tracy Morgan said, you know, today was his birthday, which was 10/1. And I am going to say, I bet you it's 5'9". And even if it's not 5'9", the mere fact that you can go to this man wiki page and there's 2 birthdays, the question we have to ask is why? Because you got to get to the tracing board and understand spirit. Why? Okay? But again, he couldn't have been 62 years old in October. Well, in June, if he was born in October. Okay? So let's look at some things. 5/9/1962. Please note the position of the sun, ladies and gentlemen. It is exactly where the moon would be 41 years later when the eclipse of Puck was coming out. I'm going to be very, very clear with that. Which that means he is exactly the opposite of Tracy Morgan. So look at this. May 9th, 1962. Where's the sun? 17 degrees Taurus. What did I tell you? Pay attention to 16, 17 degrees Scorpio, because exactly opposite 16, 17 Scorpio is what? 16, 17 degrees Taurus. Okay? So let's look at Tracy Morgan's birthday. Remember Sunday? Because Punk'd aired on a Sunday, the day of the sun. So on Tracy Morgan's birthday, the sun is in the middle of the scales. And remember, when they launched Punk'd with Tracy Morgan, it was on the eve of his birthday. The sun was in the same place. Okay? So the Punk actually happened to come out on Sunday. Very important. Well, on 6/7/2014, the day of the accident, where is Saturn? Exactly where the sun was. Don't you know Saturn is Saturday? In 6/7/2014, that was Saturday morning that Tracy Morgan was in the accident. And Saturn happens to be exactly where the sun was when he was born and punked. Come on, man. Come on. What is Saturn's energy? Bones, bruises. What happened to Tracy Morgan? Bones, bruises, broken bones.
Actor-comedian Tracy Morgan is in critical condition after a deadly car crash on the New Jersey Turnpike over the weekend. Morgan's publicist says the former 30 Rock star is responsive following Sunday surgery at Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital in New Brunswick, New Jersey, where he's being treated for broken ribs, a broken nose, and leg.
So as I show you all the time, Mars is the planet of accidents as well. Usually always him. Always this guy. And so 11/10/68, when Tracy Morgan was born, okay? Please note that Mars was at the shoulder of the Virgin. To us, it's on the right side looking at it, but it's the left shoulder of the Virgin, okay? 11/10/68, this is very important to note, okay? Well, on 6/7/2014, the day of the accident, where is Mars? At the same arm of the Virgin. Now watch this. Where is the moon? See, didn't I tell you that the moon was going through what's called an eclipse on the day that they punked him? And the eclipse has always been noted as an omen. Brother, you saw the movie Apocalypto. The lunar eclipse, solar eclipse has always been known as an omen, which states this, ladies and gents. Anytime an eclipse happens to be directly in the same spot where a planet was when you were born, you can bet your ass that you're going to see some type of correspondence in your life. Promise you that. Okay? So Mars, the planet of accidents, happened to be back in the same region of space, thus he have an accident, coupled with the moon, who we observed from the eclipse aspect. Very interesting. So now here's a birth chart, and pay attention to this. The planets in red on the outside of the wheel is where the planets were on the day of the accident. Mars is in Libra in red at the top, at the base of the arrow at the top in red. Mars is in Libra. And I have a red arrow pointing down to a blue planet at the bottom, which is McNair's Mars when he was born. He has Mars in Aries when he was born. Notice Mars on the day of the accident in red, Libra, is directly opposite Mars when they call him Jimmy Mack, when Jimmy Mack was born. All right. That's Mars opposite Mars. But I also want you to note that when you see blue Mars where that red arrow is pointing to at the bottom, please note the planet Uranus in red is exactly where the planet Mars in blue was at when Jimmy Mack was born. So as you see on this slide, Libra to Aries is opposition. That's a problem. That's a problem. Mars, I showed you before, is accidents. Yes. Here go Mars when Jimmy Mack was born in the sky appears to be at the tail of the fish. And then there go Uranus at the tail of the fish. So if Mars is accidents, and here go the last slide, then what is Uranus? Accidents. See, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of information in this. You gotta look at this. See, that meant Tracy and Jimmy Mack were not only polar opposites, opposite birthdays, they both had Mars opposite Mars. Because remember, Tracy was having a Mars return. Mars in the sky was in the exact same position at the arm of the Virgin where it was when he was born, the planet of accidents. But for Jimmy Mack, Mars was in opposition to him on the day of the accident. Both represent friction. So it's as if the accidental rays of light clearly tangled up in their physical earthly reality and drew a truck into their life, bam, and smacks into him, loses his life. Can't put a price on life, although it's alleged that the family received $10 million. And Tracy Morgan's lawsuit is undisclosed. But we see the bling now, right? But that's dangerous. Me and my brother, the prime minister, was talking. Nobody's going to raise their hand and say, hey, if you knew that you're going to be in an accident, but somebody was going to die, but you would be okay, but you'd be in a coma for 2 weeks, your bones is going to be broken, but you're going to get X amount of million, and you ain't going to know when this event's going to happen, would you raise your hand and go through that? I don't think you would. Maybe you would. I don't know. But I do know this. It ain't no way in hell that, see, if you observe it, it don't have to happen. That's what a lot of people don't know. I got into this in the webinar that I just did. There is plenty of documented case study with Dr. Brian Weiss from Past Life Memories, the healing of past life memories, where people had issues in this lifetime, whether they had rashes, disease, and I know through experience of helping a person overcome asthma, it was rooted in the previous incarnation in the soul's memory. So the problem keeps replaying it again, replaying itself. And then these relationships start to change. Who was your mama in the last life is your woman in this lifetime, and vice versa. These dynamics of relationships change, and the karma and the drama keeps going. But when you can skillfully and accurately see your past life record in the subconscious memory, because that's where it's at, in your subconscious, the mere fact of seeing it deletes the problem. So now the lady don't have asthma no more. So now people who had rashes, they rashes stopped and they never had problems no more. They had back pain and saw that they was stabbed in the back in the past life. They no longer have back pain no more. This is documented facts through Dr. Brian Weiss. We got to grow up. We got to. Okay? So ain't no way in hell I would have let Tracy and Jimmy Mack be on the road together. Or we would have did the appropriate things to do if you was going to do it. The mere fact they could have just understood who they represented to each other would dissolve that karma, because when you look at something, you create a reality. The question was, you wasn't looking at the potential reality of being safe in the future. And when Punk'd aired, because guess what? And I'm going to come off of it with this. T.I. was on Punk'd. And how did they punk him? With guns.
Hold the phone. Put your hand out. Who's getting in? Put your hand out like this. What are those?
This ain't mine.
What are those?
This ain't mine.
What are those? Those are
It's a bullet, but it ain't mine.
Why are those in the bag?
I don't know. The bag ain't mine. Please get it out my hand.
And what happened to T.I. a couple years later? 27 months later, to be exact.
Well, just hours before the BET Hip Hop Award Show was scheduled to be recorded this evening, we understand that popular, well-known rapper T.I. has been arrested. Now,
T.I. got arrested for guns. I'm going to get into that one on the next one. Real story. Okay? Because we don't understand the power of our minds, the power of what we watch creates a future event. So bitching and moaning and crying about injustices without fixing it creates another injustice to reflect back into your reality to get you to fix the thing you say you don't like. Failure to do such creates another scenario until you change your mind or the reality. Okay? All right. So enough of that. If you need me, I hope you enjoy. Click the thumbs up button. You're new to the channel. Thank you. Watch the videos on this playlist called Celebrity News and Death. You will learn a lot. Please subscribe. Please click the thumbs up button. It tells the YouTube community that, hey, this video may be pretty good. So thumbs up for me. All right. Call me if you need me. And with that, peace and love.
Prophecy is what we all have to go by now.